Well, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in every Wednesday to these Blue Star Careers webinars, which are designed to connect our Blue Star members to job opportunities, new partnerships, and career pathways, but while also raising awareness of the latest resources and connections. Reminder, we got our Summer of Learning in the Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood, and we're still accepting applications for future members who want to certified or upskill. So we have lots of options for you. Today, your host, Rae Wright Ingram, Navy spouse and military spouse circle of influence, is going to lead this discussion. We're very excited for her because we have a really intentional discussion with Mikalah Mazuera, who is a military spouse and ombudsman for the USS Thomas Hudner out there in Jacksonville, supporting the Navy community. So without further ado, let's begin. If you are watching this, this is getting to you. Please tag your best Navy military spouse, your ombudsman community, anyone who needs to know what needs to happen. Tag them, please. Share the resources. Post your comments and your questions. We'll acknowledge those towards the end. And what everything, please let us know where you're watching. We'd love to be able to send you shout outs. So thank you so much. Let's begin.
Hi, good day. Thank you for joining us today, this Wednesday, for our weekly Blue Star Careers highlight and programming. Today, I am Rae Wright Ingram. I'm the Navy Spouse Career Consultant as a part of the Military Spouse Career Circle of Influence, powered by Target. And as a part of our work in the military community, and specifically in working with spouses, we're excited to highlight the Navy today. I'm a proud Navy spouse, and I'm here with another proud Navy spouse, Mikalah Mazuera. She is the ombudsman for the USS Thomas Hudner here in Jacksonville, Florida. And today we'll talk to Mikalah about her dedication as a spouse and leader in our community. She serves with resilience and grace. And today we'll learn more about her journey, what an ombudsman is and what do they do, and how these skills can translate into leadership and career opportunities. Thanks so much for joining me today, Mikalah.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, I just want to let folks know out there that this session is being recorded. Please drop your comments on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and most importantly, please join us in the neighborhood to keep the conversation going in our career section and our Navy section. And without further ado, I have a little bit of fangirl because I was able to meet Mikalah a few months ago, actually probably about 5 months ago, at a military spouse event, and we clicked automatically. We realized that we had so much in common and that we really wanted to be in community more intentionally with one another. And so in our short time, we've become fast friends, much like how military spouses become. And so today I'm really excited to have this conversation with her about the important role she plays in our community and how these skills have helped shape her career and help her propel further in her career trajectory. So, Mikalah, I know there's going to be quite a few questions, but by all means, please let me know if it's too much or too little.
Okay.
But first and foremost, share your story. How did you get here to the USS Hudner?
Yeah.
What does it look like to be a military spouse? And so how did you begin your journey as a military spouse?
Ooh, my journey as a military spouse started about 4.5 years ago now. My husband went active duty right in the middle of the pandemic. He, obviously went to RTC up in Chicago, and first he was in San Diego for A school, and we were in San Diego very briefly. Then we came over to Jacksonville, and I kind of learned about the Ombudsman program because I really wanted to meet people, and I just wanted to figure out like what were some resources that were available to our family, to our kids, to other families on the ship. And so I tried really hard to like talk on all the spouse pages on Facebook, the power of social media, and I got connected that way. So that's how we ended up there on the Hudner.
Awesome. So, in saying that, you just kind of started surfing and finding things and just going out and having conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what made you want to move into a leadership role? I think it's one thing to volunteer, but managing volunteers, managing real operational things takes a bit more tenacity than just being a participant, although very valuable.
Yes.
Volunteers are very valuable at every level, but what made you want to move into a leadership role in your volunteer capacity?
That's a great question also. So when I first got to Jacksonville, I learned about Blue Star families because I went to an event at NAS Jax, and I met Wendy Layton from Blue Star.
Go, Wendy.
We love Miss Wendy. But I just started talking to her. She's such a people person, and she started to tell me about all these different nonprofits that were in the area. And I just saw her as such a leader. She got me connected with Patty Piazza from the Institute of Veterans and Military Families. Also, shout out to Miss Patty. And Miss Wendy just inspired me to kind of reach out because I heard her story, her backstory, and I was like, oh my goodness, like you did all that as a mom and as a wife, and you were overseas, and she just did a lot of things, but also not having the support that I felt like I needed when I first got here is what really pushed me to want to step into the role and kind of be a resource for people that also felt like they didn't have the resources that they needed.
Oh, absolutely. And that deeply resonates with me as well, because you move to a new duty station. It's like, oh, we're starting all over again. And though this is my third duty station as a spouse, but this is like my 10th one as someone who came from an Army family. And so I was like, what do I do? This time at this duty station, I have a child and I have a career that's pivoting, or I don't know. And so really getting out there and having those conversations goes a long way. And I can attest to Miss Wendy being such a people person and just has really amazing kinetic energy. And so we love Miss Wendy Jacksonville. We love her. And so as you talk about Miss Wendy and I think it was Miss Patty.
Yes.
Miss Patty, they really were mentors for you. And so how have they influenced you, or what has been your role in also giving back to other spouses in the kind of capacity they gave to you?
Great. Let's see. Lots of different ways. So Miss Wendy has not only alerted me about things that were going on in the community, but she has also introduced me to people at these events and said, hey, you should get to know this person, you should get to know that person, or said, this is a great organization for your kids. We are all members of the EFMP program in my family, aside from my husband. And she connected me with the caregivers group for Jacksonville as well through Blue Star. So that's one way. And then Miss Patty is just a powerhouse. She's been serving the military community for so long. She ironically had the same rate as my husband when she served in the Navy, except for, as my husband said, she was way smarter than him and the people that do it now, because they had to do all their calculations by hand. And so just both of them influenced me towards mentorship and leadership just by being themselves. I was like, you guys are both who I want to be when I grow up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really amazing. That's beautiful. Well, just to pivot a bit, quite honestly, when you told me you were becoming an ombudsman and you were talking about, oh, I've got to go to this training, and throughout my life, I've seen the word ombudsman. I knew it was an official role. I knew it's a role that helped people, but I had hard times pronouncing ombudsman
The
for
word, yeah.
still to this day. And so, what is exactly an ombudsman?
Yeah.
What do you do, and how do you become one?
Okay. So, ombudsman in the civilian world is generally a mediator for conflict. So, like at one of my previous jobs, which was at a university, they had an ombudsman that was there outside of human resources. So, if you had like a conflict, you could go to them and they could help kind of liaise between you and whoever the other party was without getting HR involved. Now, in the Navy, an ombudsman is a communication liaison between the command and the families of the command. And so you have to be appointed by command leadership, and it's so tricky to explain because it's not like a paid role, it's a volunteer role.
Right.
But in your role, you do a lot of training for OPSEC. We have to keep everything confidential. And basically, as ombudsman, we connect people with whatever resources are free within the community. And I would say that the number one thing that we do is like we seek out resources, we bring them to the ombudsman coordinator, Miss Kelly Stoll. Love you, Miss Kelly. She's also amazing. And then she can either liaise between us and the base command, or we can go directly to the base command and say, hey, this is a nonprofit that wants to donate this much money for this cause. Am I allowed to share this with the families or not? But not only that, we also do, like, we help with family readiness. So if somebody is having a hard time with finances or food insecurity or housing or healthcare or anything like that, we can't specifically say like, hey, this is what you should do. But what we can do is we can take the time to do the research for somebody that might be, PCSing to a new place, really stressed out, and say, hey, okay, so you're having a hard time with budgeting. All right, there's Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. They have the budget for baby class if you're pregnant, or they have like all sorts of different workshops for active duty members and their families. So just a lot of connecting people with resources. And then, I'm sorry, what was the last part of the question?
How do you become one? I think you already spoke to that. How that's and it's an appointed role.
Yes.
So you interface with lots of people at lots of different levels about lots of different issues, and so lots of skills are gained. And so, what would you say would be 2 skills that have been paramount in your role as a ombudsman that you've developed?
That's a tough question because I feel like in this short time, I feel like I've gained a lot of skills. Number one, I would say social media management, because aside from my own social media, I love Instagram. I love social media to connect people, but I have never hosted a page or a group on my own. And so I did create a new page when I became ombudsman. And so that's where I disseminate information. And for that, people have to answer specific questions because of security, of course. So social media management is one. And then the second one that I would say would probably be industriousness, just making something out of nothing or making something out of very little resources in a short period of time that's going to serve whoever needs it without adding extra stress to them and their life situation.
Oh, wow. Well, those are 2 skills that are invaluable. And I think that go a long way as we traverse what it means to be a military spouse, but most importantly, what it means to be a professional.
Oh, yeah.
So just to kind of pivot a bit, so many of us struggle to find balance. I myself personally have a theory about there is no such thing as balance, but that's for another webinar, another day.
I want to hear about this.
Yes.
Not on here.
I know, right? We will talk about it soon.
Yeah.
But, we struggle with our own career goals oftentimes. And so I guess you and I can have a little back and forth about how has that impacted us personally, and what are some ways we are reimagining our pivots or career trajectory that is not at all traditional or linear.
Oh man, yes. I could wax poetic about this, so please just stop me if I'm going on for too long. So when I was still in Virginia, I was raised in Virginia Beach, and then I moved to Norfolk, which is still a part of the 757. Rae is also a big fan of Hampton Roads, so we love Virginia. But when I was in college, I feel like it was so easy for me to imagine, like through graduate school, I got my master's in public administration with a concentration in multi-sector public service. And I just kept thinking, you know, I'm going to help people. I'm going to serve people. I'm going to do this. Like, this is going to be so easy. I'll just work for the city and work my way up to city manager. That has not happened at all. Nowhere close to that. That has not happened because many reasons, but I feel like predominantly this whole social professional network that I had been building and that I also inherited from my father's time in the military and my father's professional life. You know, when you move to a new place, it's not like those people disappear, but LinkedIn versus somebody that lives 20 minutes up the road are two entirely different things. And so, like, before we came to Jacksonville, when we were in San Diego, my husband found out very briefly after we got there, oh, you're actually going to Jacksonville. And we were living in the Navy Lodge, and we were in the Navy Lodge for about 3.5 months. Mm-hmm. And that was crazy. I mean, obviously I wasn't going to get a new job while living in the Navy Lodge with a toddler. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like kissed my city manager dream goodbye at the time. And then when I got to Jacksonville, I was like, okay, we have to reinvent, got to do a pivot, like got to figure this out. And then I met Miss Wendy and I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Because I love what she does. I want to say her official title is chapter director of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. But again, she was recommending just network wherever you go. And then like when we went to Amplify together, mm-hmm. that was like a perfect opportunity for us to meet people.
Right.
And you've really inspired me since we've become friends because you always have like so many, your hands in so many pockets of things. And that's helped me to really reimagine like, okay, I don't necessarily have to have a 9-to-5 role in order to still be successful, to reach my goals, and both educationally, personally, and professionally. Like you can reinvent yourself 1,000 times. And one of the best parts about military life is that we get to kind of do that every time we go somewhere new. We get to take on new skills, meet new people, and just challenge ourselves. But I would love if we could share like about your journey, because I know you had a whole different career before this too.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. I think actually, quite frankly, it wasn't until last year that I tapped into any resources for military spouses. Though I grew up as an Army brat, I didn't access any resources until very recently in the last 18 months. Because I'd worked in social impact and advocacy for so long, and I also had worked remotely. And so I had the blessing really to be able to work in sectors that I felt very passionate about and that I was very fulfilled in, but also a little burned out. And it was when we came to Jacksonville in December of 21, where I was like, oh, I have a toddler in the middle of a pandemic, and my husband deployed immediately. And I was like, oh, this 70-hour-a-week job that I really do love was just not sustainable for me. And so I had to take a step back and say, you know what? I really still want to do social impact work, but I need to do it on different terms and see how can I leverage my skills and relationship, perhaps to do consulting or to do work a different way. Maybe it's not, I'm not a director anymore. It's that I'm an individual contributor. Maybe it's that I'm not an individual contributor, that I'm a contractor for a certain period of time or an initiative. And so I'd say to anyone, our careers are not like that of our parents. My parents, my father and my in-laws served in the U.S. Navy and U.S. Army for over 20 years, and then went to academia or the corporate sector for another 20 years and retired twice. And so I'm like, that situation does not work for me. I oftentimes joke with my financial planner. I'm like, retirement for me? Really? Is that a real thing? But I think the resilience or the lesson in it is that I've been able to be more well and be able to really and fully lean into community, though that direct after salary, it's not something that I have anymore, but I have more healthier relationships, healthier mental health, healthier relationship to time and what brings me joy. And so though I don't have a full-time 9 to 5, I'm able to do work like this through the Military Spouse Circle of Influence, through Blue Star Families, and a few other projects that really bring me joy. And I'm building relationships and networks that'll last beyond this duty station, and friendships. And quite frankly, I was a little afraid to access opportunities because I was oftentimes looking at some of the old, like the Facebook pages or the things. But really, when you look up underneath it all, it's really people who are passionate about serving, passionate about finding joy in the little things, passionate about helping someone they really don't know and don't mind being an emergency contact for. And so I could talk or wax poetic, to your point, about this at length, but I think overall, I'm still getting to know it, and none of us are experts at it. There's so many things that I learn each day from spouses like yourself and others that I encounter in this work, and I'm just grateful that I'm able to learn and then also contribute time, energy, and and good vibes and resources too. And so, that was really, you had me in my feelings a little bit, Mikalah. And so,
I love that.
There's that. Let's see. I wanted to say, as you think about your career and the ombudsman role, and also your aspirations for being a city manager, I think that don't sell yourself short, because you can still be a city manager.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's a later.
Yes. The later greater. I would say to folks, I'm like, oh, I'm in this season. Yes. And then that'll be in another season for you. But what are some ways in which you can offer some tips to the Navy spouse out there who is perhaps afraid to get involved, doesn't know what an ombudsman is? Where would you have them start?
So that's really why I became an ombudsman, was because when we got to the ship, and I don't mean to throw shade at my husband, but it might have been his fault, but I just did not feel like I knew anyone. But I threw a little bit of shade, but at the same time, it was exactly like you said, where your spouse deployed immediately. My husband was underway for 2 months within 2 weeks of him getting here, because he got here, I believe, 3 weeks after I got here with our son. And so this is a very loaded answer to say, that if somebody is trying to figure out, like, how do I get connected with my local community, reach out on social media for one, figure out who the ombudsman is for your ship. Truthfully, I think that ombudsmen should introduce themselves in some way every time someone new gets to the command. That's something I'm trying to work on with my command now. And we've just been trying to work out the logistics of, like, how exactly do we, with so many people coming on and going off the ship all the time, how do we make sure that everyone gets that at least one communication from myself or from the captain's wife or from the captain directly that says, hey, you're a part of this, like, ship family now. You're not by yourself. But my best bit of advice to anybody that's, like, really unsure and really just feeling like, I don't even know where to begin, like, how do I grow professionally, would just be really to bloom wherever you are planted. And so a lot of the time, the spouses that I meet that are unhappy, not trying to sound negative, but, like, the ones that are not feeling fulfilled, a lot of the time it's because they haven't went out and tried to meet people. They're not looking at the free local things that are going on. And so if you're the type of person that really enjoys to read, like, get to know all of the local small bookstore owners. If you're somebody who isn't looking to work full time, but maybe you want to upskill and eventually start a different career path, we have so many resources available to us as military spouses. So many, like the MyCAA scholarship, there's Hiring Our Heroes, there's the IVMF for certifications. There's literally so many opportunities for us as spouses. So tap into all of those resources, lean into your ombudsman. And if your ombudsman for your ship doesn't know the answer, something really awesome is that we have an ombudsman assembly every single month where all ombudsmen for each base I don't know if I'm assuming other bases do this, but Mayport at least, we all get together once a month and we get to hear about different things that are going on in the community, which ships are coming and going. And we do a different sort of training every single month.
Oh, wow.
But the trainings that we do are for serving the families. So like last month, we learned about I think it's called TSA. Is it TSA, the military retirement accounts?
Oh, yeah.
Or
TSP.
TSP. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. TSP. So we learned about TSPs and the old system versus the new system. So I would just say, get to know your ombudsman. And if not your ombudsman, go on those spouse pages. People post, it's kind of like a dating profile. It's really silly. Like people will post like, hey, I'm Mikalah. I love lifting weights. I love books. I love social justice. And they'll say things like, I have a dog and a cat, or I don't like this, or I do like this. And then, do you want to be my friend? And it takes a lot of courage, but I think it's just a life skill to learn how to network anywhere that you go, and particularly professionally, because you can work towards a goal for 10 years, but if you're moving to another country or you're moving across the country, what are you going to do if your company doesn't transfer you in that new location? You have to learn how to network. So my best advice would just be to bloom where you're planted, which often looks like socializing with those in the same space as you.
Absolutely. Those are all really great tips. And I think something that really hit home for me, and I kept on thinking of this quote as you were talking, was the African proverb that it takes a village to raise a child. But I truly think it takes leaning into community to sustain yourself as a Navy spouse. And so that's our proverb from today. Yes. And so just to wrap up before we take questions from the audience, I'd like to say, what are some things that you are doing to pour into yourself professionally? I know that you and I both are doing a number of things, and I'd like to share that with other Navy spouses out there so that they will know that it's possible, it's achievable, and that we're all just trying to figure it out and making up as we go and making lemons out of lemonade. And so what are the things that you're doing for professional or even personal development that you'd like to share?
Quite a few things. So I mentioned the IBMF earlier, and I'm currently working on my Certified Associate of Project Management certification, trying to figure out how to translate my past work experience to seek out the professional, or the PMP eventually, Project Management Professional Certification. So that's completely free. I just did the OTYC Onward to Your Career course last week. I did Hiring Our Heroes Fellowship. That's where we met, is at the Amplify event. And that got me connected with my last role. I would have never got connected with that role had I not had my amazing program manager, Jill New, from Hiring Our Heroes. I'm trying to think. Oh, the Ombudsman program. Yeah, that in itself, like I've just recently joined that community back in the end of May, I think is when I officially became Ombudsman. End of May or early June. But that's like a whole network of people. I'm on all the spouse pages. And then as far as personally goes to take care of myself, the base gym is incredible. And so I've been trying to get back into conscientiously making time for myself to go, because there's such a strong link between mind and body strength. And I just feel a lot sharper when I'm taking that time for myself to work out. And as far as from an emotional standpoint for taking care of myself as a spouse, I think that my husband and I do a really good job of communicating back and forth, whether he is underway or he's at home, couples therapy. Also highly recommend. Another great resource that we have completely free to us as military families is couples counseling, family counseling, individual counseling. So I think that all of those different facets are really important to mention. And even though you're asking me, I feel like it'd be really great for you to share the things that you've been doing, because Miss Rae here always has lots of things going on, especially educationally. You are always pursuing so many things. So
okay. Well, I'd say professionally, I'm really excited that I'm kind of piece by piece building a consulting practice. And as part of that, I work with Blue Star Families as a consultant for the Military Spouse Circle of Influence. It's been really impactful since mid-June. I also work, I just recently started as an installation ambassador with American Corporate Partners, and really want spouses to know about the free resources to get a mentorship. You and I both are alumna of ACP, and Blue Star Families has partnered with ACP for a long time. And I'm proud of that partnership and glad that I can do my part here at Mayport to get more spouses and transitioning service members involved. I also really love food, and so I work with our local high school on culinary arts programming. I also am a fellow with Mothering Justice. It's a national policy organization that works with Black and Brown mothers around issues that impact mothers, no matter their identity. And so being a momavist is something that I do as a fellow, but I'm a momavist in all ways. And really, I'm doing what I can to support other moms and spouses in the community has really been paramount for me as well, because quite frankly, for so long, I've been working remotely and comfortably behind my screen and being able to network in that way. But now I'm being a little bit more open about my personal life. I really like to be behind the scenes and like helping other people platform, but I'm trying to lean into being a bit more active on social media and actually publicizing what I do, because I'm a person who's kind of, even though I'm quite outgoing, I'm kind of shy too. In many ways. And so by meeting folks like you and being a part of Blue Star Families, I'm glad that I'm able to stretch those muscles and grow. And then also I really love my plants. And so I plan on, Mikalah's going to be helping me with my fall garden. You heard it here first. We'll probably have to follow up with another one about how to turn gardening into something that you can help with your career. But at any rate, thank you so much for being with us today, Mikalah. This has been a really engaging conversation. She always comes with the resources and the receipts, as I say.
Yes.
And the USS Hudner is so blessed to have you, and you've been a stalwart advocate since before you had the Ombudsman title, and I can't wait to see you continue to shine in that role, in any role or endeavor that you pursue. And so let's see what kind of questions we have in the chat. I see we have one.
How do you find your ombudsman leader? That's a great question. So if I'm assuming that this is for the spouses. So if you're a spouse, your service member has to put you on like a roster when they get to the command, down as like the emergency contact. So they would provide your email, your phone number, your address, and all of that. And then the ombudsman will have that information. And then whenever the ombudsman is supposed to send information to each family, or invite them to the Facebook group. But if your service member is less than savvy with communication, I would just say to look up the ship's information as far as like the triad goes. So the commanding officer, the executive officer, or the command master chief. Look for one of their contact information and ask them what the contact information is for the ombudsman. Do you get paid, or is this volunteer for the show? You do not get paid, not a penny. It's an extremely meaningful volunteer role. I think that it's okay to not be paid for it, because it's like soul work for me, being able to like give back in the community. So it's okay. Can Navy parents stay connected or involved? Absolutely. So like I was saying earlier, about the Facebook group and how there's specific questions that you have to answer for security purposes when you join. Like for our group, the 3 questions that you have, I want to say, are what's your sailor's name, what's their rank, and when did they get to the ship? So if us as ombudsman on our roster, we can see when this person got to the ship. So if the parents know the answers to those questions, then they can be accepted. And also as ombudsman, we're able to share events that are happening, and then family members can absolutely join in on the festivities. How can I stay connected so I don't miss out on resources?
That's a really great one. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Oh yeah, sorry.
Here in the neighborhood. We're actually on the neighborhood. The neighborhood is a digital platform sponsored by Blue Star Families, and you can find all of our programming, things specific to your branch. And mostly the thing that I really enjoy is that there are vetted career opportunities on the neighborhood. So please look in the chat in our description to join us in the neighborhood to keep the conversation going. There's also those for different groups. I also have been, I first joined the neighborhood when I was a part of Outdoor Explorers this past spring. And so that's how I was actually introduced to Blue Star programming, was through the neighborhood and being a part of Outdoor Explorers. And so join us in the neighborhood, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, also even YouTube, and all of our recordings that are for part of our Wednesday career programming are on our channels and social media. And so without further ado, Mikalah, it has been an honor and pleasure being in community and conversation with you today. I can't wait to see what's next. And we look forward to seeing everybody in the neighborhood.
Yes.
We'll be able to be over there to say hi. We both have profiles over there. So please do not be shy, and we'll do our best to connect you to opportunities or answer your questions. But if we don't know, we will definitely try to find the answer for you. And so thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and we will see you in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.